The Discovery, Chapter 8. The Time Just Flies By. 1 month later, David walked into Canterlot Castle for what must have been the dozenth time. By now, he knew almost all of the royal staff by name, and even the guards were kind enough to greet him when he arrived. His relationship with Celestia was well known throughout the castle by now, so most guards dropped their previously cold attitudes and adopted a more friendly personality when he dropped by. The circumstances of his public outburst a month ago were well known throughout the city, and many ponies began to sympathize with him upon learning the reason behind his anger. That and a verbal reprimand from Princess Celestia were all it took to get several apology letters sent his way. Her vocalized disappointment in the way David was treated worked wonders in getting ponies to regard him with much more kindness. As he walked through the massive front doors, he greeted the Pegasus guards with a tired smile.
"Hey Stormy, hey Sunshine,"
David greeted.
"Morning, Davy,"
Stormshield replied with a smile. "Morning," Silvershine replied blandly. Silvershine wasn't too fond of the nickname David took to calling him. He was a soldier of the Royal Guard, not some random pony for David to be all buddy-buddy with. Despite his obvious distaste for the nickname, he was even more annoyed by the fact that Stormshield absolutely loved hers. All the same, he tolerated David's lighthearted eccentricities for the sake of maintaining pleasantries with a human.
"Oh my gosh, David, your face! It's all fuzzy!"
Storm said, abandoning her post to close the distance and see David's facial hair up close.
Yeah, I figured I'd grow out the beard, you know? Try something new,"
David said, a little taken aback by the excitement.
"It looks so good on you. I'm glad you're going it. But, all that aside, are you here to see the princess again?"
Storm asked.
Yeah.
David yawned.
"I've got a meeting with Tia and Twine about 20 minutes,
he said, looking at his new watch.
"You alright, Davy? You seem kinda tired. You sleeping alright?"
Storm asked with a look of concern.
No, not really. Been having trouble sleeping since I got here, and I keep getting these killer headaches every so often, so I've been lying in bed awake most of the night,"
David said with a frown.
"Oh no, that's not good. I'm sorry to hear that, David. Have you tried talking with Princess Luna about it yet? She might be able to help with your sleep problems. If not, I'm sure she could point you in the right direction." "I've thought about it, but this is more of a personal problem, something I have to deal with myself. Besides, I don't think her magic works on me. I've never seen her in my dreams, at least I don't think I have." "Well, I hope you get better. I wouldn't want my favorite human to be a drowsy downer all the time,"
Storm said, sticking her tongue out in the most adorable way possible. David chuckled at her antics.
"Will do, Stormy. Oh, by the way, you've got something right there,"
he said, as he booped her muzzle, causing her eyes to cross and her face to scrunch up. They both shared a hearty laugh, while Silvershine just sighed. Their antics were far too cutie for him. "Ahem, David, you have a meeting to attend, do you not?" he said with a slight frown.
"Oh, damn, you're right. I'll talk to you later, Stormy. Later, Sunshine."
With that, he ran off into the castle as Stormy waved goodbye.
"Bye, Davy,"
Storm called out, before turning to her partner.
"Now why'd you have to go and make him leave? I was having a good time on this shift for once,"
she said with a pout. Silver snorted. "It's not our job to entertain him. We're here to guard the front door, not make friends. You're lucky no higher-up saw you abandon your post like that either."
"I was like 10 paces away,"
Storm countered. 10 paces too many, Silver replied dryly.
"Oh, there you go again, Mr. Rulebook. You're no fun."
David reached Celestia's dining room without incident. The castle was very familiar to him by now, and he practically knew it like the back of his hand. He knocked 3 times and the doors were pulled open by a golden magic. David walked through the doorway to find Celestia and Twilight sitting together, smiling warmly as he approached.
"David, I'm so glad to see you again. It has been quite some time now, hasn't it?"
Celestia asked.
"It has been a while. A little over a month if I remember it right." It's good to see you too, Tia. I missed you.
David said, as he closed the distance to give Celestia a hug. Twilight just smiled as her former mentor hugged David. It wasn't often that she got to see Celestia remove her royal mask and act like a normal mare. In fact, she couldn't remember the last time Celestia was able to relax. Luckily, David's presence seemed to rip that mask right off. Once David released Celestia, he turned to Twilight and leaned down for another hug, which Twilight happily reciprocated.
My, some pony sure is affectionate today. I'll take that as a sign of some good news.
Twilight asked through the hug.
I'm just tired, and your fluff feels like a pillow.
David teased, earning a pout from Twilight as she released him.
I'm just messing with you, Twi. Things have been great lately.
David said with a chuckle.
Well, that's fantastic. Here, take a seat and tell us all about it. We haven't been able to have our weekly meetings the past couple of weeks, and I want to catch up.
Twilight said, motioning to the chair across from hers and Celestia's.
Yeah, it's been a while. Can't blame you, though. Being a princess must be really busy most of the time. Thank you for understanding, David. It's been a crazy month. So anyways, tell us about the last few weeks. I'm so excited to hear about it.
Twilight said, levitating some paper and an inkwell out of seemingly nowhere.
Yes, please tell us everything.
Celestia chimed, in between sips of her tea.
Well, the last few weeks have been great, especially with Midnight. After my little, let's call it a public disturbance, Midnight made a point to take me into town pretty much daily. After that little speech you gave, well, I think they felt so bad that they felt like it was their responsibility to be nice to me. At least they don't seem as afraid of me as they used to be, for the most part. But, anyways, Midnight's been amazing with helping me fit in, and I think at this point she's kind of become my new best friend.
David finished with a smile.
That's fantastic news, David. I'm so happy to hear that.
Twilight said, as she scribbled notes down on her paper.
Indeed. I'll admit, when I heard about your incident last month, I was furious. When I received Midnight's letter detailing what was said, I could not sit back and let that kind of hostility continue. Still, I'm very glad to see that Midnight is helping you integrate so quickly. I'm extremely happy for you.
Celestia said sincerely.
Thanks. If you don't mind me asking, what exactly did you say? Mid and I weren't in town for that speech.
David asked quizzically.
Oh, I simply told them how disappointed I was. After everything we've been through, as a species, to abandon our morals and let hate and fear dictate our actions, it wasn't right. And I couldn't help but feel personally responsible for the way that you were treated.
Celestia admitted with downcast eyes.
Tia, that had nothing to do with you. Thank you for doing that, but don't blame yourself.
David said, with a comforting hand on Celestia's wither.
I am the one who pushed you to go out and mingle. It seems you were ready to do so, but my ponies clearly were not. And you suffered because of that.
Celestia replied.
Don't worry about it, I'm fine. You did nothing wrong. Besides, they are genuinely starting to come around.
David said with a smile.
Well, at least there's some good to come out of this whole mess. Maybe they're finally starting to see how ridiculous they were being.
Celestia replied with a roll of her eyes.
It's weird. The mares are pretty friendly now, while the stallions are still a little standoffish. They're not hostile anymore, but not super friendly like the mares.
David recollected.
Maybe they're just jealous of your good looks and thinking you're gonna steal all the mares from them.
Celestia said with a wry grin.
Or maybe it's just the new beard that's winning them over.
David said, stroking his stubble.
I noticed that. I'm happy that you're growing it out. It looks very appealing on you. It makes you a little furry, almost like a pony. I'm sure the mares have been eyeing you a bit more closely.
Celestia said with a wink.
Funny you mention that. A nice mare on Trot Street even asked me out for drinks, if you can believe it.
David replied. The two princesses stared at David with bated breath for several seconds. After a while, it became clear that David was not going to proceed.
So?
Twilight began.
So what?
David asked with a raised eyebrow.
What did you say? Well, I would have gone, but I had dinner plans with Midnight that night. I couldn't cancel on her,
David said nonchalantly.
Oh, sounds to me like some pony already had a date then.
Twilight chimed in.
No, I mean, it was just dinner. That's it.
David said, nervously shuffling in his seat.
It almost sounds like you wanted it to be more.
Celestia cooed, her words bringing a hot blush to David's cheeks.
You guys really need to stop reading into things too much,
David quickly replied.
Whatever you say, David. Although that does raise the question. Do you want to have something more than just a friendship with a pony?
Celestia asked, genuinely curious.
What do you mean?
David replied cautiously.
Well, this is more of Cadence's department, but I'm very curious. Have you put any thought into a relationship?
She asked with a slight blush.
You mean a romantic relationship?
At Celestia's nod, he continued.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I know I'm gonna be stuck here for the rest of my life, and ponies are so much like people, but I don't know if I even could love a pony. And even though you guys are completely adorable, I don't know. It's hard to find ponies attractive in that way, when your whole life you only found your own species as attractive. Not to mention, I don't want to deal with the potential backlash. Ponies reacted poorly enough when I first went out on the town, and I don't want some poor mare to get hounded because of me.
David finished with a sigh.
I think you already passed that hurdle. Like you already said, ponies have started to warm up to you. Or at least to the idea of you being here. Besides, there are plenty of interspecies relationships here. One of the maids in the castle is married to a griffin, and I believe one of the elements of harmony bearers is in a relationship with a yak. Our kind has plenty of love to give, and you'll be no exception.
Celestia said with a wink.
I guess I never really thought about it like that. I mean, I'll definitely think about it more, but I can't say I'd be too opposed. It'd be nice to have someone to spend my life with,
David said, a thoughtful look on his face.
Something tells me that you've already been thinking about it.
Celestia smirked. David shuffled nervously while Celestia lightly giggled.
Anyways,
David said, trying to change the subject.
I was told there would be food here, right? But let's eat. Please? Very well,
Celestia replied through her giggles. With that, Celestia wrapped her magic around a small bell and rang it, causing the doors to open and multiple servants to push the carts of food into the room. I don't know if I've already done this, I probably did, but if I were to put up a poll asking how many people would date ponies, I'm pretty sure more than half of the results would say yes. Because factoring in a lot of different shit into this, yeah, no one's gonna be surprised. Anywho, let's get on to our wise donators. Top donators Bob Cat-gjf, Zarsex30, J Tinman, Only One Thing, Suru Orion, and Iron Sky. Darkside, Raiden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Stu Hex, Swordbrother Mordred, Omicron Library, Will Chris, Twinkie, Ridesoul, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, Luigi88, Chancellor Crust, Big Smoke 369, and many more fantastic people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.